There will be time after this to ask any questions or comment on your experience so far of the retreat. Any things that come up that you want any help with, that will come after, and then we'll end with a silent transmission after each one. But during Saturday, just like Friday, it's a chance where, because this is your experience, this is what you're going through, this is for you. So if things come up that you need any support or help with, this is a time for that. Not right now, but I'll let you know when. And I'm recording these so that people who are in different time zones that they can't attend. Like I know the 6 p.m. one, someone from London said that that was 2 a.m. for him. So that was a bit late for him. He didn't want to get up at 2 a.m. And other people in India also have different times. So this is when it's recorded, that's something that they can use to create their own retreat. It's only the Sunday, because that's 6 hours, that they won't be able to I won't be able to record that. It's too long, but these I can. So I'm recording all of these. And likewise, when you ask a question, if you don't want to be on the recording, that's fine. I may even just make a like a type thing that says what the question is, you know. But generally the questions that people have are the questions that almost everyone has. It's amazing how similar everybody's questions are. So when you ask a question that seems very unique and personal to you, it's actually the same question that most people have. Not to say there's anything like, you're not unique, but you're not. No one is really. There's so much commonality within the human species. So it's helpful to ask a question because other people are helped. And to go on with what you do, which I think was a wonderful question that Teresa began before, what you do in a silent retreat, because I'm very, explicit about what you don't do. And that's all the information is there, but what you do is not there. So I did talk about walking, and I included a video of walking meditation, and walking and walking meditation are very important because a silent retreat is really a meditation retreat. It's for meditation. So you're going to be sitting a lot or lying or however you meditate, you're going to be doing that a lot during this time. It's really your most going in to get the benefits of this is in your sitting meditation. And walking meditation is part of your sitting meditation. It doesn't really, in other words, your consciousness, your experience doesn't change when you start walking. It stays as if you were sitting on a cushion or on a chair or whatever for that amount of time. And this is something that we learn in Zen. Um, Usually, generally, our sitting practices, at least in Thich Nhat Hanh's thing, are only like 20 or 30 minutes at a time. And then we walk 10 minutes in between each 30-minute sitting. So we alternate between sitting and walking, more time sitting than walking. But it's a way of, it's healthy. So the body is not getting too stiff, because if you sit for like 6 or 7 hours, the body will tend to get stiff without getting up and moving and doing something. So this is just something that over thousands of years in Zen they've developed, and it works. It's a good idea to do that. So it's a good idea to do that in this retreat as well. And you'll find out that you probably walk more in a silent meditation retreat than you do in the rest of your life. Um, for example, before I started the first session at noon, I walked for 40 minutes. It was cool enough to do that. And now, right before this, I walked for 10 minutes. It's like 95 degrees outside. It's pretty warm, but 10 minutes is enough. And for me, and then after this, I will walk at least another 10 minutes. And then after the 6 p.m. one, I will probably walk for another 40 minutes. And then in between that time, I'm also sitting. So I'll sit for 20 minutes or so, however much time I have. Maybe after this one, I'll sit for an hour and then I'll walk for 10 minutes. So, anyways, you alternate walking and sitting, but you want to have that same mind of meditation, to not lose that. So in walking meditation, when you get to a place of flow, jiriki is a thing that we talk about in Zen a lot, which is one pointed concentration. And the key of jiriki, it means ki. It's life force energy. It's a spiritual energy. Chi in Chinese and ki in Japanese. So jirika is the one pointed concentration that gives you that key, that life force energy, that spiritual power, really, that comes through this. And in a simple way that anyone can understand, we also in the West talk about flow, when people are in a state of flow. And this is also a state of flow. Mindfulness too. It's one pointed concentration. And that one pointed concentration means that while you're walking, there's only walking happening. There's no person that's walking. There's no goal to get to someplace. There's just the in the present moment activity of walking happening, of which you're aware of every part of every step and every part of every movement, and how your breath aligns with the movement and all that stuff that's going on with walking. But there's not a you. And it's kind of amazing because you realize I'm walking without a me. There's no me walking, but walking is just happening. And there's such a sense of freedom in that, such a sense of effortlessness and freedom and joy and wonder, and simply that realization. But it happens with one pointed focus, without one pointed focus. So that's the importance of walking meditation. And we take that into everything. Dagmar, you asked about art practice. And yes, if art practice is without a you, there's just the act of drawing, the act of painting that just seems to be happening by itself, then that's meditation. Really, it's not painting, it's not drawing, it's meditation. You end up with the result of a piece of art, but you're not trying to have that happen. You're just being present with this, and it's just happening. And the same with walking meditation. There's no goal, there's no purpose. Those are all distractions. That's two-pointed or three-pointed concentration. When there's walking plus a goal plus you, then there's three, and there's so many different things. One-pointed is just one. So walking is just walking. Breathing is just breathing. Sitting is just sitting. Painting is just painting. Eating is just eating by itself alone, just eating. And the wonder of that without thoughts in the way. The wonder of walking, the wonder of eating, the wonder of doing anything without thoughts in the way. It's beautiful. So this is a time to practice this. And the other thing that I wanted to say about that I didn't mention is tea and coffee, because I don't drink coffee or tea or any kind of stimulant, any kind of thing like that. And so I didn't think about that. And I'm sorry, but most people do. And it's not something to say, well, if you drink coffee, stop drinking coffee, because often if you drink coffee and you stop, you'll get a headache. It'll have a negative effect on you. You don't want to deal with that. But beforehand, for a while, if you can reduce your intake or only drink decaffeinated coffee or herbal tea, that there isn't a stimulant. And the reason why is because coffee, caffeinated coffee or tea, is a stimulant, and that can activate your mind to work a little faster. It's stimulating, right? So you're stimulating your body, and then you have to deal with that part of your mind. When you don't do that, then you don't have to deal with that. You don't have that artificial stimulation of your body. It's simply what it is in the moment, not with anything added. So in addition to not having media stimulation and things like that to stimulate your mind, it's helpful not to have caffeinated things. But again, if you're used to doing it, it's too late to stop. It'll just, you'll just have a negative consequence from it. But for the next time, like a week in advance, start tapering off until you're okay not having coffee, and then see how it is to not have any kind of stimulation. And yes, in Buddhism, we also often drink green tea, which is a stimulation, not quite as much as coffee, but it is one. And it's just a tradition that people have. It's a fairly healthy drink, um, but it still has a little bit of stimulation, and other foods don't. Water doesn't have any effect like that on you. So yeah, I think that's good. So again, what you do, if you do it with this one pointed focus, with just simply being aware of presence, not being a person or being anything, just the being itself. You think about it as nobody. There's nobody doing this. And it's not nobody doing it either. There's no doer at all. It's just happening. And I'm witnessing it happening. And there's a great freedom in that. And it can also go into meditation too. Breathing is happening. There's just breathing. There's no breather. There's just the breathing. Notice that you don't have to do anything for breathing. You can, I want to breathe very deeply. You can control it. But if you don't control it, it's still going on. It's going on when you're asleep. So really, you're not doing it. It's happening without you doing anything. It's kind of amazing. The breathing just happens without you having to do a single thing. You think about how your whole body is operating. Are you controlling the function of your kidneys, of your gallbladder, of your liver, of your heart, of your lungs, of your immune system? All this is happening without you doing anything. It's wonderful. And the truth is, there's so much of life that you think you're doing or you need to do that's happening without you doing anything, and happening perfectly. And this is what it means to be in flow. Michael Jordan was a great basketball player. Amazing. He could seem to be almost levitating. He could just sort of hover in the air. Uh, and in order to do something like that, you have to be in flow. While he's doing it, there is no, to him, Michael Jordan. He's not doing anything. It's just happening. And that's why it's happening so well, because he's out of the way. It's all of life. The whole universe is functioning in that body at that moment to have these things happen, you know? And so this is what we want to do too. We want to be in flow. We want to just be, not a doer, just be. And we don't have to focus on being aware of it, because awareness is just here. We don't we don't do awareness. We don't do consciousness. Consciousness is not a doing. Awareness is not a doing. It's a being. It just is. It's functioning perfectly without any effort on our part or consciousness's part. It just is. Wonderful letting go, right? To realize this, a letting go of all this effort, all this struggle, trying, all this trying to meditate. Just trying to find peace, trying to be awake, letting go of all that, and simply seeing what's here without us doing anything, without us knowing anything, without us thinking anything, without us understanding anything. What's here that's not a thought? So we'll sit with this for a moment. It's a good stepping off point. And then after 5 minutes or so of this, you can ask questions if you have any questions after this. But if you had a question before, you can bring that up. So as I said, these sessions are here to support you, and I'm grateful that you're doing this for yourself. Doing this for yourself is doing this for the world, for all humanity, for the whole planet, for the whole universe, because you're not really separate from this. So caring for yourself, your love for yourself, you're treating yourself in the highest benefit that you can, is helping the whole universe. So I'm here to support you in this. This is a wonderful thing, and it's a gift for me that you're doing it for everyone, not just you. Of course, you benefit enormously from it, but your benefit is the benefit for everyone. So I'm here to support that. So you can ask any questions if you have any challenges that came up, any questions about things. One thing about the coffee is that because it's late to wean yourself off it now, is just to pay attention to what happens, be aware of every moment. So what happens when you drink coffee? What's going on in your body? What's going on in your thoughts? Feel all that, feel what that is. And that will help you make a decision about whether you want to continue with it or not. I'm not saying it's bad or good. It's just a stimulant, and I tend to believe that nature is providing everything that we need all the time. We don't need to add other things into it. It's already taking care of everything. That's my experience anyway. So if anyone has a question, you can feel free to ask. And again, if you don't want to be on the thing, or you don't want your voice in the thing, let me know, and I'll just put a little title thing with the name of the question. And remember, any questions that you have are also questions that other people have who are not asking it. So then it's doubly beneficial, because they get to have their question answered, even though they didn't even ask it. Yes, Kevin, you can unmute yourself, I think, or maybe I can do it. Let's see how we do it. Ask to unmute.
I think I've done it.
Actually. You did it.
Yeah.
You did it.
Just like that. Thanks. Yeah, it's just a simple practical question. How do we track down the recordings?
Oh, the recordings will probably be within the next week or two. I'll have the recordings on YouTube.
I see.
They'll be on YouTube, and then I'll put them on the on my website under the silent transmissions. There'll be a whole group that said this whole week of recordings, except for the one on Sunday, which is too long. But all the other ones should be there, and it's a value because, well, people who can't make it, who are in a time zone where they can't make it at these times, it's a value to them. And also people can use them anytime they want. If I'm going to do these probably around once a month. And so if a time comes up in between and you say, I need a day or a weekend retreat, at least a day or at least 3 days, or and so you can just use it, and there it is without me, and you'll be able to do the same thing. And
that's great. Yeah, I can't do the later one today. I was planning to do it in the morning, but obviously can't do it like that. It's not.
Yeah, it'll be probably within 2 weeks. They'll be up. I'll work on it next, during the week after this. Start, putting them together, and there's not really that much. It's mostly just uploading it to YouTube. That's that takes me a while.
All right. Okay. Chop me out if you can, but I don't mind too much.
Chop you out of it?
Yeah, if you can, but it doesn't matter.
No, yeah. Easy enough. I may just do that with everybody anyways. Just put like a question up, and then I'll remember to repeat the question. Yeah. That's good. Where are you in Australia?
No, I'm the London person, or one of the London people.
Oh, in London. Yeah, that's right. The 6 o'clock was your 2 a.m. Yeah.
It's a bit harsh, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it's for your benefit, not to make not not to make things more uncomfortable. It's challenging enough to deal with thoughts without throwing other things in the mix too. You know, the whole idea of separating yourself out from all the other stimulation is so that you can deal with your thoughts, you know, alone. You can deal with focus just on the thoughts and letting the thoughts go and finding the peace and freedom beyond the thoughts. You know, when we have input coming in is too much. We can't really do that, you know. And often we do that because we don't want to deal with our thoughts. So we take someone else's thought. We say, yeah, I'm going to distract myself from my thoughts by somebody else's thought or a movie or something else, what we call entertainment, in order to get out of my thinking because it's not that pleasant. So we bring in the other stuff and yeah, and this is like, no, deal with it, you know, like learn to, it's totally for your benefit because we find in our culture we have an addiction to media, to cell phones and to news and things like that. And underneath that we have an addiction to our thoughts. Before there was any of this media, we still had an addiction to our thoughts. So that's the thing that the last thing to deal with, you know.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That's great.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you for participating, Kevin. Lex, it's good you could show up for a piece of it.
Sorry, I can't be here for the whole time.
I know.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. No, you told me. Yeah. Well, the recordings I think will be useful. You know, I mean, I'm here as a benefit to you, not as a anything else, not as a way of making money or anything like that. This is for you. So by making the recordings too, it gives another way of doing that, you know. And I feel it's pretty effortless for me to do this and pretty much to live in everything I do because I'm living in that state of not a doer. So it's very free and effortless. And I realized I didn't know how it would be. I mean, I've done in-person week-long silent retreats. I was doing that about 6 years ago. And I thought, well, I haven't done this in a while. I don't know what it would be and doing it online and everything. And I realized, well, it's not a problem. It's effortless. There's no difficulty in it. So I could do a week-long one, you know, but I will announce the week-long ones uh, quicker before this one. I think I only gave people like a couple of days to know that I was even doing this. Um, but the week-long ones, it's, you know, you have to take time off from work and sort of arrange things around that. So I'll give the heads up of at least a month or more when I do that. As you'll see in doing a weekend of this, the depth that you can go into this is just, it's good. You know, we go for an hour long or a couple of hours meditation sessions a few times a week if we're part of a sangha, and that's all wonderful and very, very beneficial. But something much more happens when we do it for 3 whole days or a week or 3 months. It has it's not a cumulative effect, or maybe it is, but it's the longer you do it, the more of a benefit. I remember I was up in Crestone and at one of these retreat centers, and somebody came out of they had these little cabins, hermitage cabins that people will do these 3-month retreats in. And this young guy came out, just happened to come out. That was at the end of his 3 months, and he was going to go back in for another 3 months, but he came out for 3 months. First time he'd ever spoken to anybody in 3 months. And he was just radiant. I mean, it was really clear. Everybody could see it. It was just like literally there was a light projecting and shining, from his body. It was amazing. That's what happens. It's extraordinary practice, And without the culture that we live in, with all the input and conditioning and socializing, it would all just be like that. But we need a little bit of deprogramming for that to fall away in order to see this natural radiance. And really, that's all we were looking at, was this natural radiance. But the programming had fallen away on him, and everybody was just enjoying enjoying the vibe that he was transmitting. He wasn't aware of it, of course. He was just in this state. He wasn't aware how we were all being affected by it, but we were. So it is a wonderful thing to do. And you notice that everybody, all awakened teachers that you know of, have done this, have spent fairly extensive times in silence. And I just heard something from Mayor Baba this week, and remembered, like, yeah, this guy was a really awake being, and he didn't speak at all. He had a little chalkboard that he wore around his neck, and he would, if he wanted to say something, he would write it on the little chalkboard. I don't know if he ever did speak after that time that he went into silence, but the things that he wrote were quite profound and beautiful, a lot about love. And I understand that. It's a very powerful thing. Ramana Maharshi was 9 years, he stayed in silence, living in this state of bliss. It wasn't a choice that he made. He just was overcome with this silence and stillness and bliss that's there. They asked him after, why did you stay in silence for 9 years, And he just said, the bliss is just so powerful. This is simply reality. It's just letting the conditioning go and experiencing what's always present, what's always here. That's what truth is. When we let go of all illusion, all the conditioning, what's left is truth. And it's wonderful, amazing, beyond anything we can think or imagine. And yet here it is. So we have a seeking mind that, like, when I say that, go, I want that. I want to get to that. And that, in a way, is a little bit of, it's resisting it in a way, because we're saying, I don't feel it now. I want to get somewhere that isn't really here. Since I'm not experiencing it, it can't really be here. That's part of the mind's conditioning. It is always here. And how we find it is not by seeking, not by making an effort, but by letting go of everything we think. And just letting this arise. The silence that I talk about, that we're looking for in the thing, it's here. It's underneath all the sound, all the words, all the thoughts, all the everything, all the illusion. It's underneath all that. It's always been here. It's the reality underneath the illusion. When we have a dream and we're sleeping, we don't disappear. We're still lying in bed having a dream, even though we think we're somewhere else and we have this experience of somewhere else. We didn't actually disappear. We're still in the bed. having this dream. It's just in the dream we don't know that. We think we're wherever the dream is. And this is the same for truth and the silence. It's always here. It doesn't go away because we're distracted. We're focusing on thoughts. We believe our thoughts. It doesn't go away because of that. It's always here. It's always been here. It cannot be anyplace else. So it's a letting go, which is not an effort. We cannot make an effort to let go. We just let go. Just let go. Let everything be as it is, including whatever thoughts come. Let them be as they are. They're just thoughts. So letting go is allowing everything to be as it is. No resistance, no attachment. We don't have to get involved in a thought, in the content of a thought, because that would be an attachment. No, a thought came. Oh, that's all. We just notice. And that way we're coming back into our state of awareness, of consciousness, which is always happening without any effort. We don't need to try to experience consciousness or awareness either. It's here. And as I said, I'm here for your support in this. So any question that you have is a valid and useful and perfect question. And if you don't have any questions, then that's also valid and perfect. And I thank you again for giving yourself this gift. There is perhaps no greater gift that you can give yourself. So we'll do the silent transmission part of it now, which you've probably been waiting for. And if you do have a question, anything that you really want to ask, then I think you can unmute yourself because my eyes might be closed, and just say it. It's fine. But the silent transmission is also giving support, and maybe the most support of all. Thank you, my friends. We'll see you at 6.